Military expert Sukonkin. The basis of the monstrous combat power of the United States is the Navy and aviation. The expert emphasized that Washington has been forming a strike force in Europe for many years. The basis of the US's monstrous firepower is its fleet, particularly guided missile ships and submarines, as well as the multi-role F-16, F-18, F-22, F-35 and other aircraft. I will assume that the United States is collecting information about our air defense through attempts to attack UAVs of the Ukrainian armed forces, so that Pentagon analysts in the future can make recommendations on how to lay corridors for their cruise missiles, Sukonkin added. He did not rule out that the U.S. armed forces regularly practice missile strikes from different parts of the world against potential adversaries, including the Russian Federation. The interlocutor explained that the White House is launching bombers or ships in the Baltic, in Europe, in the Arctic Ocean, and leaving Guam, Pacific Ocean, in the Far Eastern direction. In theory, the first wave of cruise missiles could be up to 1,500, including decoys. It is impossible to find out the deceptions. The United States has a very powerful fleet, especially many ships with guided missiles capable of carrying, in theory, over 100 Tomahawk-class cruise missiles, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers and Ticonderoga-class cruisers. Plus Ohio-class submarines with cruise missiles, up to 154 cruise missiles each, Sukonkin noted. The interlocutor emphasized that the U.S. has HIMARS MLRS, which caused a stir in Ukraine. He explained that in the event of a conventional conflict with a major power, the United States would not be limited to 20 HIMARS. Earlier, American journalist Tucker Carlson suggested that the United States could start a full-scale war with Russia in 2024. In this way, the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden will try to maintain power, he noted. According to him, this war will become more of a political measure. The criminalization of U.S. domestic policy has led to the fact that the presidential administration will begin to consider such a decision as the only way out to maintain power in the country. At the same time, Carlson called on Americans to start putting pressure on the Senate to avoid conflict. What do you think Russia has for defense? I emphasize for defense. VKS air defense systems are, as a rule, heavy and long-range systems. They are needed, first of all, to protect strategically important objects. In other words, these are strategic air defenses. 0008 Advertising. For a long time, air defense included fighter aircraft, while the large air defense troops were part of the VVS, Air Force. Later, 2011, the anti-aircraft missile and radio technical forces were combined with the Space Forces and created the Space Defense Forces, VKO, and in 2015 they, together with the Air Force, became the Aerospace Forces, VKS, and remain there to this day. In terms of fire weapons, the VKS air defense consists of A-135 and A-235 missile systems, from 2021, the most powerful missile defense systems, ABM, for combating enemy nuclear ICBMs. Anti-missiles themselves can have a nuclear warhead and, depending on the missile, can have short-range, long-range and trans-atmospheric interception from 80 to 1,500 kilometers. Missile systems S-300, P, PM, PM-2, PMU, and S-400, which, depending on the radars used, can perform the functions of intercepting missiles, as missile defense, cruise missiles, low-altitude detector, and aircraft themselves. About 80 Buk air defense systems, a lighter complex compared to the S-300. Recently, there have also been anti-aircraft missile and gun systems, SAM, ZRPK, Panzer S-1, the task of which is to protect the very positions of the big brothers from special air defense breakthrough weapons, low-flying cruise missiles flying in the blind zone, anti-radar missiles. In general, such air defenses are on constant combat duty. These are the troops that are actually the first to take the hit in the event of an attack. They must protect strategically key industrial areas, senior military leadership, and critical elements of the energy infrastructure. Doomsday troops, in short, are the same as strategic missile forces. Ground-air defense. This type of troops is distinguished by a wide variety of anti-aircraft weapons themselves, and ground-air defense operates in the interests of the troops themselves. Like artillery, which can be regimental/divisional/army, the range of the shot and the power of the ammunition depend on this. Air defense of the ground forces is also divided by range and height. But that is another story. Here we talked about protecting the territory of the country, but it should be noted that the best defense is an attack. We will talk about this in another video.